In the previous video, we looked at how we can trim each individual stroke. And in this video, we'll look at how we can trim the entire stroke. And the way this works is we're going to use the original line as a mat for the Ouroboros line. So I'm going to click on the Ouroboros layer and then click on the module Set Mat. And now you can see that here in the Effects panel, you can see that this Set Mat effect is applied and it's looking at the original line. And at the original line, we can find a trim path that allows us to trim the original path, and now we can trim the entire Ouroboros stroke. Now again, this is using the Set Mat effect, so there are some scenarios where the Set Mat effect can break. And if I, for example, put these two layers into a pre-comp using Command-Shift-C, everything still works until I collapse the transformations of this layer. Then you get some really weird effects. If you do want to have the collapse transformation on so that you'll have more resolution, then you can use a track mat instead. So I click on the Ouroboros layer and then just remove the Set Mat effect. And then instead of using the Set Mat, we'll just use the line as a track mat. And now when I go to the comp, you can see that it's corrected and now it works. So depending on what you're doing with these layers, make sure you're using the right type of matting. And in the future, we'll add these functions as an option over here, where you can choose what matting functionality you want to use. But it doesn't really matter which one you use because either works fine. So when I go to the trim paths, I can start to trim the stroke. So with the Set Mat module, I can make the stroke appear. With the link module, I can link the start and the end of the Ouroboros stroke to the original stroke. If I select the Ouroboros layer and then click on link, now when I trim this path, you can see that the path is being reduced and the start and the end of the Ouroboros stroke are connected to the start and the end of the original stroke. Now what's cool is that I can also turn off the start, and then I get a whole different effect. Now it looks like the stroke is only attached to the end. Now I can also flip these two around, so I can turn on the start and turn off the end, and then do the same for the start of this stroke. So that's link, and you can also use these two shortcuts if you already know that you only want to link the start or only link the end of the stroke. Now what's cool is I can also animate these properties. So if I go 10 frames out and then set 2 keyframes, zoom in a little bit and then move these 1 frame back. And then on this frame, we're going to turn this one on and this one off. So now they're flipped around. And then I'm going to set keyframes for the start and end. And then I'm going to just animate the end in like this. And then so we get this result. And then over here, I'm going to animate the start from 0 to 100. And then quickly apply some easing with this with F9. And then drag these keyframes out a little bit using Option. Now when I play this, the stroke comes in and the stroke goes out like that. You can find the download link for Ouroboros in the description and more tutorials on this channel. Please comment with any questions that you have and I'll aim to answer them in one of the next videos. Take care.